It's a new month, Blunty, and in fact, it is the month of December, which is the productiest month of the year, as everyone knows.
Yeah, that's true. Though I don't know that it is as producty as we would expect, but that's what we're here for. That's the whole point of what we do every month, is we find out how producty it is, and then
how producty. Although we find new products in the FPV world, and we tell you about them and talk about them and give our off-the-cuff, often uninformed opinion about them.
Yeah.
You know, technically, if we were going to do like a Christmas roundup, we would have done it in November because it's really too late to buy most of these things before Christmas. So bad YouTuber. But we're just going to carry on. And at the end of the video, we are going to spread some Christmas cheer by giving away a prize. We're going to give away one of these products, or maybe several of them, as we do every month.
Yeah. All right.
But let's dive right into it with, we always like to start off with a featured product, something that's particularly like high priority and interesting. And this month, that is this, the Runcam Split HD. All the analog people have left the chat. Analog people who are sick of hearing about DJI products, down in the video, down in the timeline, you know, where timeline, there's chapter markers. And in the video description, there are also chapter markers. So if you don't give a crap about DJI, just go down to the timeline, kind of just skip to the next chapter. But for those who do care, Blunty, what is the Runcam Split HD?
So the Runcam Split HD is a new option from Runcam for people who want a DVR, but maybe have a Vista or an Air unit and have had trouble recording with the SD card on the Air unit, like a lot of people, most people have it, you know, from time to time. Yeah, so this kind of gives you that option. It is only this camera, but basically there's, you know, it's a Runcam Split HD camera, which appears to be like the Phoenix camera, similar to that, except it is actually 2.7K 60, and it will actually give you like a 2.7K image, 60 frames per second recorded, and then it'll transmit the normal 720/60 to the VTX and then to the goggles and stuff.
Yeah, so there's several reasons why somebody might choose this, even if they maybe already had an Air unit. I mean, if you have an Air unit, you have onboard recording, but as you mentioned, a lot of people are getting that SD card slow error, which so it basically doesn't work. But in addition to potentially fixing that issue, this will give you higher resolution DVR, 2.7K DVR instead of 1080p, which a lot of people would feel is a bonus, certainly a higher resolution, and it's compatible with GyroFlow. So you can do stabilization as well. And that's another thing people are going to be like, well, can I just swap a different camera on there? And usually with DJI systems, the cameras are completely interchangeable. Any camera can go on any VTX, but that is not going to be the case here. Can we assume that Runcam did this on purpose to make you buy their camera? And that there's not some technical reason why they couldn't have made it work with any other camera?
I mean, I feel like it's probably because like the DVR has to have the chip set up for exactly the sensor input it expects. That's my guess. So maybe they could have made it more open and like somehow configurable, but I would guess it's like set up so that it can get that 2.7K 60 sensor that they have directly in, and then, you know, make it work. So
well, that makes sense. And I guess I would say if you're gonna make me use only your camera, at least give me something in exchange. And in this case, they've given you the 2.7K recording. So maybe that's a fair trade-off. All right, moving on, Blunty. Let's go into our normal sort of categories. Which category would you like to start with this month?
Well, we are talking about DJI stuff. Maybe we should just roll into the couple more DJI things, and then we can get that out of the way.
Okay, more analog people clicking away. No, just go to skip ahead in the table of contents. We got plenty of stuff. It's a long video. I wouldn't expect you to navigate it without a table of contents. Okay, what's next, Blunty?
So the Nebula Pro Nano is the other big thing this month that we've seen. You know, for a long time we had the 120 FPS drought, where we didn't have a lot of the 120 FPS full-featured cameras on the DJI system, and now we've seen an abundance of those. And finally, we've got what a lot of people are asking for, which is a smaller form factor version of the 120 FPS cameras. And here we have the Nebula Pro Nano, which is a 14 by 16, so it's close, but it is 14 across, so you can mount it in most Nano frames and setups.
Yeah, 14 by 16 millimeters in size. Frankly, the only 14 millimeter DJI compatible camera so far has been the Nebula Nano. By the way, Nebula Pro Nano, that's the good one, the 120 FPS one. Nebula Nano, easy mistake to make and very confusing naming, unfortunately. The Nebula Nano was pretty poor, and frankly, I would have taken almost anything, but that they gave us a 120 FPS camera and a 14mm form factor. I've reviewed this. There's a review up on my channel. It's pretty good image quality, and if you're building a micro with a naked VTX, this is a great this would be my pick for a nano-sized, like a toothpick 3 or something.
And then we should just mention real quick, coming up probably next month, I would imagine, we'll also be seeing the Runcam editions of this, but they just aren't for sale yet. So I just kind of wanted to shout that out. So you could also, we'll be seeing more than just this one camera. There's a 60 FPS from Runcam coming and a 120, but those will be in the probably next month.
Yeah, hopefully Runcam will send me those to review as well. I was just about to say, it seems like this would totally make sense to come with a naked Vista, and I don't know that they're selling the Pro Nano with a naked Vista, although we have, as we mentioned in previous months, we've seen a whole bunch of naked Vista pre-builds where they've taken out the heat sinks for you to save a few grams. Seems like a no-brainer.
I would guess that's only a matter of time before we see those SKUs pop up.
Yeah. Well, you could always buy the camera separately and buy a naked Vista separately. Or there are various ways, or you could just nakedize it yourself. I've got a tutorial about how to do that on my channel. All right, that's enough with the DJI stuff, Blunty. No more. Oh, there's no more. There's not actually any more product this month. Where to from here?
Well, should we? We've got one HDZero item. Maybe we should knock that out while we're in the digital block. Okay,
I like it. What's new this month from HDZero?
So we've got the HDZero Nano. This is we've seen the HDZero micro camera that's been pretty popular and sold out quite quickly. And now we've got the HDZero Nano, which is basically the HDZero micro in a nano package from what we hear.
Well, if it is the same camera, just made in a smaller package, then that's great, because the Runcam HDZero camera is, in my opinion, the best SharkBite camera you can get today, and really makes the most of that system. I think the point of this camera is if you've got a frame like the Switchback, which only takes a 14mm camera, as many racing frames do, then you're kind of screwed. You have to go, well, Foxeer Digisight is not the worst, but this would be my pick if I was going to be racing with SharkBite. This is a really good looking camera. I think it beats everything else out there.
Yeah, also interesting, this is 14x16 as well. So I think it's kind of interesting. We're seeing multiple HD cameras from different companies, and different, things have to both be 14x16. So I'm curious if it's a sensor they found or some kind of form factor they all decided on or what happened there. But,
yeah. Well, it's got to be 14mm wide. So if they need a little more space, there's really only one direction to go.
Yeah.
All right, that is currently on pre-order, except for some strange reason, and we've got links to all the stores that are, well, not literally all the stores, but except for some strange reason, GetFPV shows it as in stock, and I kind of don't believe them. No offense, GetFPV.
As far as we know, they're going to be shipped mid to late December. That's what I've heard from most places, so not sure if they actually have them in stock or not.
So I kind of wonder if GetFPV is pulling some shenanigans to try and get sales. I'm not accusing. I'm just saying I don't understand how they could have them in stock, because I don't think HDZero's shipped them yet. Regardless. All right, so that's DJI and HDZero. What do you say we talk about flight controllers? We got a bunch of new flight controllers and ESCs. What do you say we do that?
All right, let's get into it.
And you said, you gave me a list before the video, and you said, listen, these are the actual products I'm excited about.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention the KISS Ultra Mini. We've talked about the KISS Ultra before, but we've got the KISS Ultra Mini has recently been released, and it's basically just the KISS Ultra, all the stuff crammed into a 20x20.
Nice.
So this will be basically the same flash and everything. As far as I know, it's all the same features and form factors, or at least all the same features and a better form factor. And now there's a website, kissultra.com, we're showing here for anyone in the EU. There's an easy, direct place to purchase them from KISS directly when they do drop. Otherwise, it'll be different places in the US and stuff like that when they do drop. But unfortunately, they're just selling out as quick as possible because these are all manufactured by hand. So
they're not able to mass produce them as fast as people would like them, but people are really interested in these. Nice to see another option for 20 millimeter out there. Next up, we have an ESC, and this ESC stands out because it is an X-Class ESC. It's an 80 amp, 8S rated ESC. It is the iFlight SucceX X80, and it's notable just because most X-Class pilots are running APD ESCs, and it's nice to see somebody else trying to get in there. It runs BL-Heli-32, so unlike APD, where the firmware is basically locked out, I mean, APD's position is, we made it perfect, you don't need to change it. And if you want something you can tweak, BL-Heli-32, that's what these run. The big question would be, can they deliver the same reliability and performance as APD ESCs? Because when you're paying $70 for a singularly ESC, you damn sure don't want it to fry.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is one I would probably want to see other people running for a little bit, maybe before I opt on, just because, like you said, APD is a well-known company,
Yeah, and
at least they're not going to blow up in the air, or I at least feel more confident about an APD ESC not blowing up in the air.
Yeah, like APD. Here's an APD 8S 80 amp ESC for $49. Is that?
Yeah, so it's hard to.
No, I don't know. I'm sorry, iFlight. I don't know why I would ever am I missing something? I mean, you don't know. We're just looking at this product page and we're just shooting our mouths off.
I mean, $5 to that is BL-Heli-32 license. I can tell you that, right? So
there. So okay, that brings us down to $62.
Yeah, I don't know about the other part.
Yeah, just based on reputation, if I were building an X class or Beast class and I needed an 80 amp 8S ESC, you'd have to give me a discount to pull me away from APD, just because they're so established in this space. This iFlight could be the best ESC in the world, but I'm not going to pay extra to take a chance and find out when I know APD are rock solid. So, sorry, iFlight, but that's how I see it. They need a discount. They need to sell this for $40 or $45, take a loss or sell it at cost, and establish that they are trustworthy in this space.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen.
I would also agree with that, 100%.
All right. Well, come on, iFlight. Listen to us. We know what we're talking about.
If you know why we're wrong, go in the comments.
Right. Well, actually, this has tantalum FETs with ceramic nanoparticles. Makes them. Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. I know that tantalum is used in capacitors, not FETs. I'm just making up. All right. Next up, from a gigantic ESC to a much, much smaller one. Segue. This is the Emax Tinyhawk 3 flight controller. And even if you don't have a Tinyhawk 3, Emax has they finally stopped making their flight controllers some weird form factor that only they use. True. So, I mean, tell me if you agree, Blenty. I think you could just use this as a toothpick flight controller for a 1S toothpick.
I think this is something to put in the list of things, right? Because it does have the onboard receiver and the onboard VTX. So if you're looking for some kind of 1S AIO flight controller that'll fit in a Whoop, I think this can definitely go on the list that you can kind of compare to, like, hey, what's available and what's in stock and what's in the price point. And this might land there for you.
25 milliwatt, 200 milliwatt VTX. That's pretty good for a toothpick. The most I've ever seen is like a TBS Unified Nano with 400 milliwatts. So, but it's all integrated. The receiver it's a D8 receiver, right?
It's SPI, that traditional SPI, so D8, D16.
Okay. I mean, fine. Would rather see something like Express LRS, but does it have pads? Can you? Yeah, I can see right here. It's got a T2 and R2. So if you did want to solder on like an Express LRS receiver, you could do it without too much hassle. And it's just, in a world where everything is out of stock all the time, like you might prefer like an FPV cycle flight controller, but you can't get it, and you want to build a Tinyhawk or a toothpick, this is a fine choice. $90. Oh, that hurts though.
Yeah, like I said, just compare to. This is something to put in that list to compare and see, like, hey, what else can I get for what price, and that sort of thing. But it does have all the pieces, so you're going to spend $10 or $15 on a little VTX and
that's fair.
Your ARCs, so
that's
we'll
fair.
See where it lands.
That's fair. It's not just the flight controller for $90. It's everything. Good enough. Alrighty. Well, I will do the next two because I know that they're ones that you were not super excited about. You're just like, meh, another flight controller. So I'll do the next two, even though it'll make it seem like I'm talking over you.
You paint me as such a hater.
I don't paint you as a hater. You're a hater. I'm a hater too, but I like to let you be the bad cop so I can be the good cop.
I see.
I said this. I'll repeat this for the viewers. I said, look, if I only ever did a new product roundup about products I was like sincerely like excited about, I probably just never cover another flight controller again. Because like, oh boy, another flight controller. But I'm like, we have a duty to our viewers to help them and educate them. And that means that like, and this is interesting. I'm a little bit excited about this. It is the Holybro Kakute F7 Mini V3. It's a 20x20 stack with an F4 flight controller and a VTX. What's a VTX go up to? 800 milliwatt. Yikes! That's good for a 20x20. 800 milliwatt VTX. It's a solid little combo. 45 amp ESC. Wait a minute. Is it an F4 or an F7? It says F7.
Well, the ESC is an F4. This is the new F4 ESC line.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
so the ESC has an F4 processor, so it can like do whatever. I don't know. They're just putting F4s on ESCs now because they can't get the other chips.
It can do any PWM you want. That's the difference. Is the F3s are locked to the PWM range. The F4s can go from 16 to 128.
Oh, well, that is kind of cool, especially when combined with BL-Heli-32's new implementation of variable PWM, where it actually explicitly avoids the motor harmonics. Going up to 128 and down to 16 might actually be a useful, finally, a reason to have an F4 processor on your ESC. There's one.
True.
$108 hertz for a flight controller, ESC and VTX, but in this day and age, that's how they come. So you can certainly see this on a lightweight freestyle rig, or maybe a 3.5-inch 45 amp ESC, fine for a 3.5-inch freestyle quad. And that 800 milliwatt VTX is certainly going to help you get all the range you can get. So, yeah. All right. T-Motor Mini Racer F7, which I thought was notable because T-Motor has had a 20 millimeter F7 flight controller for a while, and it's basically just a copy of the Acon F7 Mini, as far as I can tell. Whereas this looks like it's been separately manufactured. Has some separate status LEDs. They're not labeled, unfortunately, but a lot of times those will indicate like the 3.3 volt to 5 volt regulator. I don't know if that's true for this one. A pretty nice layout for a 20 millimeter F7, and it's $50, which is doing pretty good these days. I'm not really sure what the hell's going on here, though, Blunty. Do you see what they've done?
Yeah, they etched out the LSD chip. It is definitely a little strange, even though they list it on the page. So. Not sure what they're hiding or where they're having to source it from, but...
Yeah, the AT7456E is the standard OSD chip used on many flight controllers, so why is this one lasered off? I mean, could they be being dishonest? I don't know.
I don't know. Hopefully their suppliers aren't being dishonest and everything works out correctly. Right?
Anyway, presumably the OSD still works, but it is pretty weird that they've lasered off the markings on that chip, so someone has. Yeah, maybe these are aftermarket, like those, like I know people are having trouble getting components. Maybe they found these and they were desoldered from other components and lasered off. And I mean, who knows? We're completely speculating, but it is pretty weird. Anyway, another choice for a 20 millimeter, flight controller, F7, $50, pretty decent pad layouts for a 20 millimeter. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice and exposed. So
yeah. Very nice.
All right, so next up, I figure we'll look at the bind and flies then. So let's look at the Lumenier QAV-Pro. There's a line of these, I think, a couple different options these, but there's a QAV-Pro Micro Whoop 2.5 inch here, and then there's also a 5 inch.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the QAV-Pro search results from their page, and I can see that there's a 5-inch ready to fly and a 2.5-inch. So it looks like this is a while back they released the QAV Cine, C-I-N-E. And so I thought that was their like pro CineWhoop, but now they've got this. How do they stack up? Let's just compare them real quick.
Yeah.
Well, the QAV Cine is both a 3-inch and a 2.5-inch.
It's more of a traditional, like, CineWhoop.
Yeah, so they've gone to a pusher configuration with the, let's look at the 5-inch. They've gone to a pusher configuration, and the frame certainly is a little more filigree.
Definitely more robust. Like, well, it kind of looks more robust too. Like it's all one piece, so you can kind of get a bigger camera on there probably.
Yeah. They've given up the pretense of ducts, and they're just using them as prop guards, which I don't have any problem with, because only really the original Shendrone Squirt had ducts that actually worked the way they were supposed to. Everybody else had the appearance of ducts, but they really weren't doing what ducts are supposed to do.
I think this is pretty smart too. On the 2.5-inch, so when you're more likely to fly around people and in a building, they give you some bumpers to make it a little easier to get around. And if you hit somebody, it's even better. So yeah, I think that's kind of neat. Seems like they're thinking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like when I look at the 5-inch, I'm like, well, I mean, I guess you're going to do this if you're flying a 5-inch around maybe, I don't know, like a car you don't want to scratch up. Like I wouldn't volunteer to get hit with this thing as an actor. Prop guards or no. I guess there's uses for prop guards on a 5-inch though. The 2.5, you got these bumpers, as you said. I am a big fan of the 2.5-inch size. I feel like 2.5 these days is almost as good as 3-inch in terms of flight performance. And you put a naked GoPro on it, and you no longer like CineWhoops in the 3-inch class were always struggling with the weight of a GoPro, but they kind of made do. And then we have naked GoPros or an Insta360 Go, and now we kind of don't need a 3-inch anymore. We can go down to 2.5.
Right. And then if you want bigger, you can kind of just go up if you need to go up.
Exactly. Go up to 3.5. I feel like 3-inch is actually kind of a dead zone for CineWhoops these days, although there's certainly nothing wrong with a 3-inch. So I like this choice with a 2.5, and the frame looks pretty robust. It's carbon, so it's going to be easier to get spare parts than if they're plastic. They don't really come together. You kind of just replace the whole frame most of the time with plastic.
Yeah, well, you will also have to replace the whole frame here, it looks like, because or at least the top and the bottom, right? Because that's a whole plate, it looks like, is the way they're built.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's my only concern. That's my only concern with looking at this.
It's the same thing with the 5-inch, actually. I see that now.
Yeah.
The 5-inch, I thought
that was split.
Yeah. And you got to wonder about resonance. I've seen frames like this before in the past. Actually, very, very similar to this. There was a frame that was sold by BetaFPV a while back, and it was just basically two gigantic sheets of carbon sandwiched like this, and it had really bad resonance issues. So I would guess that they've worked on that, and they wouldn't put this out there if it was going to have vibrations or resonance issues, but a big sheet of carbon like that tends to have issues. So, wow. I'm gonna put a Komodo
I would be
on
nervous
there.
flying that. I would be worried flying that Komodo.
Yes.
And not just because there's a Komodo.
Check this out, Blunty. This is a video sent to me by Freezillion, and he's the race whoop guy. He's working on this. This is an octo whoop designed to carry a Komodo, like a cinema camera. What do you think of that?
Sort of like a compact thick or something. Like a tight little thick. Interesting.
Yeah, look what he's done. He's got the motors upside down on top and right side up on bottom, so the props are contained. And like as I look at like this guy, this just feels like somebody. It feels like it hasn't been fully thought through. Do I want to put a Komodo on a 5-inch with only 4 motors?
I don't.
For example, yeah. Whereas you look at something, and this is not, as far as I know, this is not a product you can buy. This is just a labor of love from Freezillion, but like this feels like a product somebody really thought through. Granted, it's not a 5-inch. You might want more thrust. There's got some video of it flying. It's not bad, but this, I don't know. All right, the 2.5 I kind of like. Moving on. What's
All right, next up, we've got the Pavo 360, and that brings along with it the new SMO 360. We've seen some different, the SMO 4K, I believe, from BetaFPV before, and some different options from them. So now they've made a new little camera and a new frame to go with it. So this is the Pavo 360, and it's just a little Pavo frame, the same styling of that, but built around this new, basically, I guess it would be like a Session 5 style SMO 360.
Yeah. And this is really cool. I'm almost more excited about the camera than I am about the quad. The Pavo 3.0 is not a bad CineWhoop. I don't know. Do you have an opinion about it? Is it near the top, near the middle, near the bottom?
Near the middle, I would say. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay. But this camera, I mean, somebody just pared down a 360 cam so that it would fit and beautifully inside the frame. And we've seen this kind of done with the Insta360 1R, where you have like a cable going to the 360 module. But this, they're just like, screw it, just put it all in one. And it's really, really slick.
The price is a little rough, but I think that's kind of what they're asking you to pay.
$400. How's that compare to like the Insta360 1R?
The other thing that I've heard is that it's a similar sensor to what you're going to get in, the same camera that they've been selling, the 1R. So I'm not sure how much of it is worth $400 for that small of a thing. So,
I mean, the image from the Insta360 1R, I feel like is acceptable. I feel like if you need the versatility of the 360 cam, that you're gonna trade some image quality for that. I think the GoPro Max is going to be better, but all 360 cams give up a lot of image quality because you're taking that sensor resolution and you're spreading it over the full 100, usually 180. There's usually 2 sensors. So $400 for a 1R twin edition, and that gets you both the 360 lens and the action camera lens. So here you're paying $400 for just the 360. You're really going to want to specialize in those 360 shots, but it is pretty cool to have an invisible camera like that, or invisible quad. Last up, Blunty, we've got a new bind and fly 5-inch from AxisFlying. AxisFlying really trying to establish themselves as a brand with all kinds of products. This is their Manta bind and fly 5-inch with a full air unit. Oh boy. Interesting choice.
I believe they've got a HD bind and fly and an analog bind and fly as different options. The frame also comes in both. So it's kind of like they're, as we would expect, I guess, from a company's making stacks and receivers and motors and stuff. They're kind of jumping in full bore and doing the whole bind and fly thing. So I expect we're going to see one of everything.
Yeah, it's got all their Axis, got their AxisFlying stack. They're all-in-one flight controller and ESC. Interesting. I mean, I guess it makes sense that they would use it. A bind and fly seems like the last place where... is that true? I mean, they're soldering it up. It doesn't save you anything for them to do this. I guess if you have to replace the stack, maybe but you're still going to have to desolder the motors. Manufacturers, if you want to do a plug-and-play flight controller and ESC, put MT30 connectors on the motors. Then it's actually plug and play. Otherwise, it's not plug and play. And at that point, you really haven't saved anybody anything.
I don't know. It seems like a cool little package. This is, I think it'll remain to be seen how this works out for people. But their build quality so far, from what I've heard, is pretty good. Yeah. So, yeah.
It reminds me of the GEP-RC Mark IV, which is a similarly kind of stretched freestyle frame. It feels like it's longer than it needs to be, although the GEP-RC Mark IV flies very well. AxisFlying Manta. Price. AxisFlying stuff tends to be kind of pricey. They want to be super premium. Let's see. Analog, plug and play without receiver. Add to cart. You can't see the price unless you add to cart. What are you doing?
Oh, it didn't load.
It did load. Their website is kind of wonky. DJI Air Unit HD bind and play, plug and play without receiver. Oh, here we go. $469 for that. And analog $289. Yeah, $300 is about what you pay for a sort of semi-premium bind and fly these days with analog. That's unfortunately about where it's at. You look at a Nazgul Evoke. Nazgul Evoke's pretty good. I'm not sure I'm a fan of the Air unit. I'd rather have a Vista.
What camera are they? I don't see that listed anywhere.
On the analog.
Yeah. Oh, Runcam Phoenix 2. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good choice. I like that camera.
Yeah.
Blunty, there's one more frame that we got to cover this month, and it is another CineWhoop frame. CineWhoop's so hot right now. This is the newbie drone CinemAh, which I feel like gets points for the name.
Pretty good. Yeah.
It is, when I looked at the Get FPV CineWhoop frame, I thought, this design looks a little dated, right? It doesn't look like it's pushing things forward. It might be fine. But when I look at the CinemAh, I'm actually super impressed. They're going for that low profile thing that things like the GepRC Cinelog do. But instead of a plastic frame, they've got a carbon frame. This is a really clever little thing.
Yeah, I believe this was like a pet project of a couple guys on the team over at Newbie Drone. I had heard about previously, and yeah, this seems to be the culmination of them working on this for a while and getting out a pretty cool design. Like you said, it emulates a lot of the plastic or different material designs we've seen, but instead is able to achieve that with carbon. It reminds me of some of the like whoop frames we've seen where they're kind of like pieced together like slats of carbon that are going straight up, or we've seen like the Acrobrat has some of the ways some of the parts go together remind me of this, but
yeah.
I think this is pretty cool. Nerk has a review if you guys want to check out Nerk's opinion of this. He's got a build of this and him flying it around a little bit, and he seems pretty impressed with it. He's going to start trying to take it to jobs and see if it's a better option for like faster, kind of more intense stuff.
When you say faster and more intense, what size prop is it made for? It is a 3-inch, so it's not a 3.5-inch. It's a 3-inch.
His concern was just with like if you're trying to do a dive on a squirt like he typically does, it's much easier to do stuff like that, or like fast chases where you got to go back and forth. There's a lot of wind resistance on the squirt. I believe that's kind of what he was saying in his video. Is he wants an option for those situations. So
yeah, there's no question that the ducts on the squirt, which I think is what he uses now, have a big effect both on it being blown around by the wind because of the surface area and on the acro handling, which is pretty poor. Kind of makes me wonder if you could flip this upside down and do it as a pusher config, which is how most CineWhoops these days are doing. I don't know if you have enough clearance from the motors, but I'm curious about this. I'm interested to see how it flies. It's probably going to be more durable and stiffer than a plastic frame with similar geometry. So the newbie drone CinemAh.
Let's take a look at some new radios. We don't always have new radios to take a look at, but we do have two this month, and they do share a little bit in common.
Oh, yeah?
So we've got the BetaFPV LiteRadio 3. This is their sequel to the LiteRadio 2 SE, and it's a little bit chunkier.
I can't figure it out, Blunty. I think the BetaFPV Lite radios are kind of like the original Star Trek movies. They said that every other one was good and every other one was bad. The LiteRadio 1 had problems with the gimbal soldering. The gimbals would just stop working. Then they came out with a LiteRadio 2. Was that one good or was it bad?
I don't remember either. I know the 2 SE was had trouble with gimbals as well. But then there was a revision where they didn't change the name, and supposedly the gimbals got better. That's what I was told.
So it's a bit of a dice roll whether this is going to turn out to be a good one or a bad one. I probably wouldn't like to be first to pre-order this. But they have done some pretty clever things. They've got nice recessed switches, which I saw somebody on Facebook who was like, oh, that's the last thing I want is like an Xbox controller. And it's like, well, actually, this is not going to break like a standard switch does when you toss it in a backpack. So that's good. Momentary 2-position or 3-position, I'm not sure. Gimbals, the gimbals on the LiteRadio were actually decent when they worked. So maybe these are okay. And you can order it with a Holy Cow Express LRS, which you totally should. Don't buy it with FreeSky. Buy it with Express LRS. That's very cool.
Yeah. So so like we talked about, internal Express LRS, and it does have a light bay as well on there, so that's pretty nice.
You could put a multi-protocol module in the back if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Very nice. And it runs OpenTX? Standard,
No.
or does it run that custom BetaFPV revision of OpenTX?
So one of the major caveats is the traditional thing that BetaFPV loves to do, which is this is their own configurator, their own setup for their radios, and there's no OpenTX here. It does do, this is a different, I think this is a change from the old ones. It does have the micro or the light bay now, right? So that light bay can do CRSF because they've added the ability to do CRSF in their radio protocol stuff. So at least, even though you don't get OpenTX, now you don't have to do some weird PPM thing. You can use external modules and still use like CRSF protocol with those modules. Can
I use a standard multi-protocol module as well? Or is that not supported in their weird?
Yeah, I believe that was previously supported, but now they've added support for a CRSF as well.
I kind of get it, their desire to make things easier for their customers by making an easier to use configurator, but I don't understand why they would just reinvent the wheel and throw out a whole bunch of functionality. Why not just put OpenTX on the radio and then write your own configurator that obscures parts of it, but it's still OpenTX under the hood? Like the idea that you would release a radio that didn't support Crossfire. Like, why would you? I don't understand. So it's nice that this one does.
I will say BetaFPV has a history of doing their own code for everything and then not sharing with developers. So it's possible that they just have issues trying to get OpenTX, set up in time with releases and everything for OpenTX and getting everything submitted,
Alrighty. Well, this one is a big wait and see, but for $60, the form factor is decent. The ergonomics of the LiteRadio were decent. It's got Express LRS built in. This is all very compelling as long as we don't find out that it has some critical hardware issue that results in people having a dead radio. On the other hand, we have the Radiomaster Zorro, which I feel obligated to point out has no relation to Zorro FPV, although maybe it should. This is the new radio from Radiomaster, and I am actually super excited about this. Comes in an option, various options, an Express LRS option built in, 4-in-1 multi-protocol built in. Save a little money if you fly FreeSky. It's got the CC2500 chip, which is basically multi-protocol, but basically FreeSky only. Futaba, I think. No Spectrum or FlySky. And there's even a Crossfire combo where it comes with a Crossfire Lite module and CC2500 chip for FreeSky. No one's got this in their hands yet, but Radiomaster has a pretty good track record.
Yeah, I would say, I don't think this is going to be a bad purchase for most people if you're in the market for something like this. It does run full OpenTX. And so this will be officially the first Express LRS internal radio we've seen that works properly on OpenTX and is actually internal. So they've got all the support set up and everything's all good to go. And it does internal CRSF to that internal module, which is something we haven't had before now. So pretty cool.
Very cool. What the hell are these little doohickeys right here? Do you have any idea?
They're like strap holders or something, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, it's for that battery thing. Because one of the caveats, that's a good thing to say that. One of the caveats of this radio is that it doesn't use 18650 because of the size of the hands. So instead of like the T-Lite that we saw, or not the T-Lite, the X-Lite, back when FreeSky did it, they added extended ends. Instead with this radio, it looks like they've just chosen to make use shorter batteries. So we get 18350s, but there is an external battery pack you can purchase that will sit on the bottom, and then that will hold batteries on the bottom with those little clippies.
That's dumb. They should have just made it longer and used 18650s that everybody has. I don't understand. Like, oh, the battery life is fine on the... Okay, but no one has 18350s. No one has them.
If you go click on one of the radios and then scroll all the way to the bottom, it'll show you that little solution.
USB-C charging, that's okay. Yeah, that's this thing here. Yeah. What? That's dumb. That's dumb. Just make the handles 3 centimeters longer and use 18650s. Why? Radiomaster. I don't know. What do I know about manufacturing? Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do that? It's dumb.
I don't know.
Fair enough. There's probably a good reason that I don't know, but that is annoying. But you're going to buy the 18350s. You're going to stick them in the radio. You're never going to look at them again. Maybe it doesn't matter.
Also, just a couple other cool things is they have added like a foldable antenna on the top, which a lot of these radios don't have. So if you got to throw it in a bag, it is nice that you're not going to break an antenna off. You got to figure out where to put an antenna.
Mm-hmm.
USB-C, a lot of people will be happy about. It's got a metal roller on it, which is nice. A lot of these cheap radios do not. And then they've also added these points in the back so you can screw extra stuff off, little M2 holes. Yeah, I think
just mounting holes.
I think they've done a lot of cool stuff with this radio. So
yeah, they have told me they're going to send me one for review, and I'm looking forward to reviewing it at a price of, let's see, $80. It's between $80 for the CC2500 version. If you fly FreeSky, the Express LRS and the 4-in-1 version are $100, and $150 if you get it with Crossfire, which let's see is what it is. That's pretty slick. If it's good quality hardware, that's going to be a pretty good deal. I would probably take this over the T-Lite, which is $80 and has some compromises in terms of build quality and capabilities. Whereas this is $100. It's a little bit more, but I think it's going to be worth it. Well, speaking of Express LRS, let's move on and look at some of the new Express LRS products that have come out this month. Where would you like to start, Blunty?
Well, let's take a look at the let's take a look at the Happymodel Fyujon. Okay. This is Happymodel's answer to the 69, the TBS 69.
Oh, people have been saying, "Oh, give us an Express LRS and VTX on one board, and you will rule the world." And Happymodel was like, "Okay,
cool,
that's hot. That is hot."
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know this had been done.
Too. We've talked about this before, but this allows them to get it a lot cheaper, I believe, because they can use this OpenVTX software on here.
Wow, $25? $25 for a VTX and a receiver.
Yeah,
that's something.
You could pay $25 for a Crossfire receiver, or get a VTX and a receiver for $25.
The VTX goes up to 300 milliwatts. That's acceptable for a 5-inch. That wouldn't be enough. And of course, TBS 69 goes to something like, they say a watt, but realistically, I think it's less than that under operating conditions. It's way more than 300 though. Nevertheless, is this 25 millimeter sized?
Yeah, cool to see these options getting out here. Yeah, it's 25 millimeter. Is it 20 by 20 or 25? I think it's 25.
I think it looks like it's 25.
Oh, yeah, there's both options there, right?
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, here's the 20 millimeter mounting holes.
Yeah.
Or you can get 25 millimeter. So it'll go on your toothpick. It'll go on your whoop if you prefer. It'll go just about anywhere. And that is really slick.
And if you can't make it fit there and you just want to use it as a regular receiver, you can snap off the receiver and then mount the VTX.
Yeah. And we should say, in case people are not super familiar with Express LRS, that this does support, I presume it supports the Express LRS backpack function, where the receiver and the VTX are connected together, and you can control the VTX via the Express LRS Lua script, and it's all integrated.
Yeah, this is the ESP MCU, so all that is supported. So
awesome, very cool, very cool. I got from something that's much cheaper than you thought it would be to something that is surprisingly expensive.
Very true.
Here's the AxisFlying Thor. Now, when AxisFlying said they were making an Express LRS module, I was like, good, somebody's going to come out with like some solid hardware, good quality manufacturing. That's what AxisFlying is trying to be. And then I saw the price. $120.
Yeah, I think, 127, right? I think if you can get it to...
Let me see if I can get it to freaking load. Module only. Oh my God, it is. It's almost $130.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be for a very specific set of people. We'll see, right? The build quality does appear to be very good. I've seen internal teardowns. However, I think this is going to be for people who don't have a way, like who don't have a JR bay on their radio. Because this is set up so that if you don't have a JR bay, you can use it on like another kind of radio. I think like a Spectrum or Futaba would both be able to plug into this at the bottom and then use it with CRSF protocol, just like they would a normal radio or a normal model.
The Spectrum DX9 and higher, and the Futaba, I believe it's the 14, whatever that model is. It's the 14 and higher. They support Crossfire natively. And that means they can support this module, but they don't have a JR bay, so that they wouldn't an option. And since this has a menu and a joystick, the fact that they also don't run the Lua script is the other limitation. So now you got the menu and the joystick, so you can do all your configuration. Those people, if they want to fly Express LRS and not Crossfire, now they have an option, and they'll pay whatever. You already bought a Futaba radio, so clearly you have a lot of money.
Yeah.
For typical hobbyists like Blunty, I got to compare this here. Let's put this other product. This is not the order that they're in our notes, but we'll put it up here. The Happymodel ES24TX Pro, which is $40, has 1 watt output power. Specs, it doesn't have the joystick and it doesn't have the screen, but most hobbyists aren't going to need that. They might like it, but they're not going to pay $100 extra for it. And this thing, it's from Happymodel, so maybe it's like crappy quality. No.
Yeah, we had Sandor de Brunner. If you guys watch the news, we have this guy present some stuff on the news sometimes. We show his things. And in this testing he ran through the output powers and confirmed that, like, hey, this thing is legit, and it's actually kind of over legit. Mm-hmm. So, his ultimate test there shows that on the 1 watt setting, after 15 minutes of just sitting on the 1 watt setting, it was at 1.33 watts. So that's pretty good.
So there's no question. I think I'm willing to give AxisFlying that their build quality and their consistency of manufacturing is probably going to trounce Happymodel. But I think that for many people, if not most people, this $37, you're going to get just as many watts out of it. And your chances of getting a bad one are probably low enough. Happymodel's actually had a pretty good track record with Express LRS, although there were the receivers with the bad voltage regulator, for example.
And the major thing that Happymodel's had wrong is the Slim Pro didn't have telemetry working because they had a problem with some of the circuitry. However, Happymodel has made, I think, 4 modules to this point. Maybe this is the 4th or 5th one. So I think they've learned from all that stuff, and they're starting to understand like how the circuits go and starting to talk with people about it. And like, I'm going to say your chances are better, at least. With these for sure.
So if I was spending my own money, there's no question that the ES24TX Pro would be the Express LRS module I would lean towards today.
If somebody gave me $120, was like, spend this and you have to spend it, I would just buy 3 Pros and then one will work,
That is going to do it for Express LRS this month. Let's do, what we had it. We did flight controllers and ESCs and frames. We never did motors. We got like 3 motors. One of which is going to be a little controversial, but let's not start with that one. What do you think? Hey, Blunty, I'm gonna toss you a softball. What is probably the best budget motor that you can get today?
I think most people would say the Emax Eco II.
It's way up there in the $11 to $14 price range. You get a hell of a lot of value, and it looks like they've just released a 2004 sized motor. It's the only reason I can think of why this was in the new product section of Race Day Quads. So we're going to throw it out there. 2004, very popular motor size, used in Cinewhoops, used on 3.5 inch up to 5 inch freestyle quads. Now you can get a $12 Eco II motor in various KVs, and it's probably worth a look. From a motor that is obvious the purpose of it to a motor that I can't figure out what the hell is going on here. The T-Motor Pacer 2505. What is going on here?
Well, it's in a beautiful pale rose.
Oh, well, okay. Sign me up.
I feel like that's something you would say if you're on QVC.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not sure, man. This is sort of in the vein that I like to say is like the roll the dice sort of deal. But you've talked about it a little bit. Maybe this is more inspired by the FPV cycle.
Yeah, you say roll the dice like motor manufacturers. You just spin a wheel and they're like, what size motor are we making this week? 25? 05? Okay. But I think it's a little more intentional than that. I think that this is trying to capitalize on the success of the FPV Cycle Imperial motor, the 25, which is, I think it's a 2506. So it's a little bit different size. But I have to say, like Bob Ruge says, guys, I've tried every single motor and 2506.2 is the best. And I believe him. Like, I believe him. And then T-Motor makes great motors, and I don't want to come down too hard on them, but they come out with a 2505, and I'm like, it feels to me like somebody went, hey, the FPV Cycle is 25 millimeters super, let's make one like that. I just don't feel like, why is it a 2505 and not a 2506? I don't think T-Motor has a good answer to that. I think they're just trying to make something that'll sell.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that assessment.
And I think that for $1 extra, if you were going to buy the T-Motor Pacer 2505, you probably are going to get a better motor, and you're going to support someone who deserves your support by buying the FPV Cycle 25 millimeter instead. That's my take. Not that the Pacer's a bad motor. Just why is it a 2505? Is there a good reason for that? Why is it 1850 kV? Why? And Bob Ruge will spend 45 minutes telling you the answer to those questions. And I'm not convinced that T-Motor can do that. Here's an Ethix motor, which I only sigh because if you talk about Ethix and Mr. Steel, unless you just, no matter what you do, you're going to get shit on by somebody. Where should we start, Blunty?
Well, I like the name. Let's talk about the name. FSP stands for Full Stuffed Pigeon. I thought that was interesting.
What is a full stuffed pigeon?
In Ethix's world of fun names, they do fun names for their props and colors and things like that. Now they're bringing it to the motors with full stuffed pigeon. So,
So this is a 1607, and it is intended for a Cinerat. It's a Cinewoop motor with new 4-inch and 5-inch arm options and other smaller frames that run 4 to 5-inch lightweight props. It's a good option for the sub 250 gram class as well. I don't disagree. 1607 could be an okay choice for sub 250, and it could be a fine choice for 3-inch.
Well, let me just point out, they did exactly what we asked of the last motor, which is they have a nice description to explain exactly why they made this motor.
Well, and and the description makes sense. Unlike I forget which motor we looked at. Maybe it was the Flat Rat. I don't remember. But they said this we needed more longer flight time on heavier quads, so we increased the KV. And you and I were both like, that's not how any of this works.
Right.
But going to a bigger motor does make sense if you're trying to carry a heavier stuff, larger stator volume. How big is the stator volume here? It's a 1606. It is 1205, so it's about 1200 millimeters cube.
1607, sorry.
1607, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a 1406, so the 2004 motor is about 1200, maybe 1250 cubic millimeters, so this is a fair whack bigger, maybe 10%-ish bigger than a 2004.
20 grams per motor with wires. I'm not sure what the aerolights come in or anything in that world.
Yeah. Well, Aerolight's a pretty light motor.
That's true.
Let's look at that. Eco II 2004. I mean, we're starting to see Cinewhoops with 2004 sized motors, especially the 3.5s. No. 2004. What's the weight on these? Surely they'll tell us.
18.
So it's a little lighter. The big advantage of a 2004 motor for a Cinewhoop is going to be you got more surface area exposed to the air, so it's going to have better cooling. But this is a bit smaller motor than the 1607, so you're not going to have the same torque.
Yeah. I think the other thing we have to point out is just the price, which is I'm not too hot on the $18. I'll say that.
Yeah, that's Ethix products. You definitely always pay a premium for them. It is available with a 5mm shaft if you want to run 5mm props and you don't want to screw around with T-mount. So that's nice, I guess. Anyway, good. That's it for motors. What do we got left? We got just a couple things left, Blunty.
I threw this on there because this was new on Get FPV. We got DroneNX is a new company. It looks like selling lithium-ion batteries.
They say what cells they use. Or are they going to make us guess?
I think we're going to guess.
I can't remember who it was, Blunty. In one of the previous months, we showed some 18650s, and they said, we're using Sony VCT cells. And it was like, okay, I can look up the spec sheet for those. None of these guys are manufacturing these. They're all just sourcing them somewhere. It would be nice if they'd tell us what cells they were using, so we didn't have to just take their word about the specs. I guess we just don't know.
Right.
If you're looking for 18650 packs, maybe these are good, maybe they're not. We don't know. But they exist, so there you go.
Sure.
The best lithium-ion cells. Oh, it's protected with a Kevlar casing. That's kind of cool. But they're also lighter. How are they lighter compared to leading brands? They're 18650s. They just weigh what they weigh. How much weight difference is there in 18650s? I don't know.
They don't say how much lighter.
I'm annoyed with this product. I'm not sure why. Kevlar lined. All right. All right, we got a couple other little random things before we get to the giveaway. We'll decide what product we're going to give away and tell you guys how to enter and how to win. It's surprisingly easy. You don't have to really do anything.
True.
Except give me your, you have to enter, but you don't have to, there's no subscribing. There's none of that bullshit. Let's start with this. And I'm going to be straight with you. I'm only covering this because Evan Turner is my friend. I would call him my friend. I hope he would say the same. This is the 533 handy heater. It is I guess you live in Denver. Maybe it's colder there and you thought this was a good product.
I was going to say, I think this sounds like someone who doesn't deal with the snow.
It's true. I live in the South right now. Today, it was like 65 degrees and I had a t-shirt on. The handy heater. How would you use this, Blunty?
I think this is a great idea. So if you are in the cold ever or in the freezing, right? It is very common to have your battery bag with you, right? And you either need to leave it in the car or try to find some way to keep it warm while you're flying so your batteries don't tank when they're getting super cold while you're flying.
I see.
One of the cool things you can do here is either use this in your pockets or in your jacket or whatever as a heater for yourself in your jacket, or you can throw this in your bag with your lipos.
Now that actually, like using it as a hand warmer, I'm kind of like meh, but using it to keep your packs warm, that's kind of cool. And it's a USB power bank too. If you
it's got 3 different settings. He has a video here showing you how to use it if you need to know. It's pretty cool. And I think the price is pretty fair. There are similar style products, but they don't quite do the same temperature settings and they don't have as many. This also works as a battery bank. So if you just need a battery bank and you need some milliamp hours, this also is a 5,000 milliamp hour battery bank. So.
All right. Fair enough. You've convinced me. I'm excited about this product. I actually got to try these at the Tiny Whoop race. Evan was at it and he let me try them out.
Oh.
I'm actually trying different stick ends and I've tried the thumb grippy stick ends, which we've covered previously. This one is really interesting because it has a straight side instead of a curved or a tapered side. So for people who have a hybrid pinch where you set your thumb on top and then you rest your finger on the front, this actually was really, really good. And the top is super, super spiky, like not painfully spiky, but spiky enough, but it's like wider and flatter. I kind of like these. I think these might be the best for hybrid pinchers.
Interesting. Yeah, they seem pretty cool. I've never used these, but they seem pretty neat. So they've got these, and they've got a couple different versions. They've got the thumber version. They've got a standard original version. So
the thumber version has a curved top, so that as you sort of thumb left and right, it sort of rolls with you. I really liked that this one had a flat top, so you could kind of grip it between your thumb and the front of the pad of your index finger, and as you move, it kind of stays in place. I actually really want to get a set of these to try compared to the ones I'm trying now. So. Fine. We have 533 has the AG01 gimbal in a custom color. Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. AG01. You got an AG01 gimbal yet?
I do not. Yeah, but if you guys are in stock if you're trying to look for one in stock and you want to order a different looking one, they've got one. So
they're pretty nice. They're pretty nice. You do fly a Radiomaster, right? Do you fly a Radiomaster?
I fly a Jumper T16. So.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that about you.
Radiomaster, send me a radio.
Yeah, that you will review, right? If they said, hey, we'll send you a radio.
Absolutely.
We were talking about a product you got offered. I won't say what it was. And you were like, no, I don't want to review that. Don't send me that. Radiomaster you would do. All right. Keep that in mind. Okay. This is a new soldering iron from Sequre. Sequre makes the SQ01, is a very, very good budget soldering iron. This one is interesting because it separates the power module from the actual wand. I'm intrigued by this. I guess I'm not 100% sure why it's better than just like a TS100 or an SQ01, which is sort of all in one.
I'm going to have to guess that it's got to be output power, right?
I don't know. Because the SQ01, this isn't I'm not sure if this is the right one. It outputs 30 watts, and it's very good. It does a lot with 30 watts. So here we've got, what is it? It's got a nice little display. That's kind of cool. I don't know. I don't hate it. It's going to take up a little more space in your bag than like the SQ01 though. And I'm not sure. I don't know. Somebody's going to love it. $70.
Sure.
All right. Good. Last up, the most important topic. Why did you put this on here, Plenty? This is so dumb.
It's a new product from this month. Okay. So
it is a new product. I do agree.
Yeah. Our normally criteria is, can you buy it? Is there somewhere you can submit to order it? And then was it new? And both those things are qualified.
So this is a $25,000 drone bed from Drone Racing League.
We're putting this here as a PSA. Do not buy this. How about that? Right?
Fair. I don't think anybody watching this was about to drop 25 grand on a drone bed. This is silly. This is some silly market. The fact that we're talking about it now means that their dumb marketing stunt has worked. So we're not going to talk about it anymore. Drone Racing League, you're better than this, or you should be. I'm not actually sure that you are after I saw your mobile app. But far be it from me. People say to me, Bardwell, I thought you were better than this all the time. And I go, no, I'm not. So who am I to have a moral high ground? You, Blunty, you can have a moral high ground. You are not sullied yet by this world that we know of.
Yeah, I don't think I would take this though if they sent it to me.
No, I'd be like, get that thing out of my bedroom. What are you talking about? That's dumb.
Yeah.
Who would want this? All right. Well, that brings us to the giveaway. And we have to decide what the product that people would most enjoy receiving this month. Let's see.
Drone bed.
The drone bed. I'm not giving away a $25,000 bed. I'm not that generous. Hey there, folks. Joshua from the future here. My original hope was that I could source some KISS Ultra flight controllers to give away. They are pretty exciting. People are pretty interested in them, and having flown one, they fly pretty good. And I was eager to introduce other people to that experience. But it turns out that the very thing that makes a KISS Ultra flight controller such a good giveaway item, that no one can get them, also means I can't get them for a giveaway. And I don't want to act like I have them in hand and offer them as a prize and then not be able to deliver them to you. So sadly, we'll not be able to do that at least this month. So instead, here's the next best thing I can think of. Your choice of a set of T-Motor Pacer 2505 motors, 4 motors, or a set of FPV Cycle 25mm motors, your pick. We're going to give them to, let's say, 3 winners, because I just gave away $1,300 on a live stream and I'm a little strapped for giveaway cash this month. 3 winners. All right. Plenty, thank you so much for taking the time out of your afternoon to do this with me.
Yeah, thank you as well, Joshua. And we hope you guys will join us next month when we do another wonderful product roundup.
And giveaway. All right. That's going to do it for this one. Happy flying, everybody.
What are you doing in here? The least you could do is subscribe or
join my Patreon or like just here's another video I picked out for you. Jeez.